So I've been thinking, I keep thinking about telling you how I've been, this sounds so silly, have been going to sleep lately, but it honestly has been so very helpful. So those of you who with like anxiety know, sometimes you lay down and you're like, your mind is like ding, 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 ding. And it's like really hard to get it to like slow down. So I've been playing what I've been calling like the ABC game. Okay.
Sure.
And so what I've been doing is I start at A. Okay. So I'll lay down, close my eyes, get like all ready for bed, and I'll start like A, and I'll go through like A through Z of like games that I know. So like I'll start with like A, I'll be like Astrobot, B, Baldur's Gate, C. And like I will try to get through Z
Oh, wow.
if I can with games that I know. I will tell you I get stuck a lot.
What's a hard letter for you?
I don't know why. I can never think of one for C. And every single time I'm like, why can't I think, what?
What? I'm just trying to think. Because
Yeah.
C doesn't feel like, well, Conquer's Bad Fur Day.
Sure. But I kept being like, okay, I'll get stuck at C, and I'll be like, okay, I'll skip C. And every single time I'd be like, I need to go look at Steam so I can finally have a letter C game. And I just have been having the hardest time coming with it. But then like D, like Dragon Age. Like, and I have a pretty okay time getting through the rest of them. But I'm telling you, it's the perfect like mind distraction that like I'll get like halfway through and I'm gone.
Wow.
Or if I'm like really amped up, like maybe I'll get through like a lot of them, and then like I'll start over and be like, okay, instead of video games this time, I'll do like foods. I'll put like fruit or something like that, you know? I'm telling you, y'all should try it. It works out really well. Unless you get frustrated like I do.
I should try it. I don't even know what I do. I just try to think about something relaxing that doesn't raise my blood pressure. That list is getting shorter and shorter every day, but
oh yeah, it very, very much is. I don't blame you there. But yeah, this one could work. I have been enjoying it.
I think I would try to do it with board games instead.
Yeah, see, like something like that. Like I think like you just sit there and try to. But I listened to other podcasts, and like there was a girl who was talking about it. She was like, a lot of times when you can't go to sleep, it's because like you need to find something to distract like your brain. And like some of the other ways they talked about is like picking one word and saying the word like over and over and over and over and over. And I'm like, I can't do that. That would drive me insane. Like that's not an option.
Well, and like I've recently started the journey of like getting like an official ADHD diagnosis to hopefully get some like medicated relief for my brain, because it's become a problem. It's become a problem in my life where just like my attention, like I struggle to stay focused on like important conversations in my life. So even if I'm interested, I just can't.
Yeah, no, I get it to a certain extent, but I'm proud of you for going and like getting it figured out. Some people like will be like, I think I have it, but like, and I mean, not everybody cares to know or to get medicated. My mom also has really bad ADHD, and for a long time she was like, I don't want to be medicated, and then she would go to the doctor and they're like, you're severely unmedicated. She's like, yeah, I'm not medicated at all. I don't want to be. And they're like, that's cool, but like we should talk about how this could affect your life.
Wow, imagine having a doctor. Couldn't be me. The struggle of being a Canadian right now. But anyway, it's been like, my hope is that it will, like, once I go further down this journey and actually get, a medication that works, my hope is that my sleep problems and my racing brain at night will hopefully slow down, but who knows?
I'm very lucky. I have anxiety, and most nights, like a lot of people are like, oh, it causes like I lay down and my anxiety kicks in then, and like my brain starts running. I am very lucky that most of the time my brain runs through the day, and the minute my head fits the pillow, I am like leveled out. I am done. Like I have trained my brain to be like, nope, we are over all of it. We are going to sleep. We love sleep. We need this in our life. But yeah, so give yourself maybe hopefully a little break, and give yourself a moment to play a little game. Hopefully it'll help you sleep. To everybody else out there, you never know. I don't know. But I'm always super interested in like other good ways to like help go to sleep, because there are nights where I'm like, oh my God, I can't stop. Won't stop. So today's show, we're going to do kind of like a elongated catch up situation.
We're like a quarter of the way through the year.
Yeah.
Take a look at what we set out to try to do this year and what we've been doing and how do those line up,
Yeah. So also give you guys some reviews of like the things we've been doing. So you guys kind of been like, oh, well, how were any of these? Were they any good? But yeah, so just like an elongated hang out with us, listen to what we've been doing, all that kind of good jazz. So we start off strong with some games.
All right.
Yeah. Have you started anything new? We can kind of do like a ping pong game. I'll let you go. We'll go back and forth.
Yeah. So I set out this year to I wanted to play 12 games, like 12 new games, because I find myself going back to like Pokemon, Zelda a lot. So I was like, you know what? This year I'm playing 12 new games. And I have beaten 4.
Wow. Okay.
So or DNF'd 1, which we'll get to.
Oh, that's a whole cover. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. I'm so excited.
But this week actually, I started and finished a game called Bolt Gun.
Okay.
Which is like it feels like the old school like Doom games. Like it's a first person shooter, like pixel graphics, very heavy metal, very brutal. But it's like set in like the Warhammer universe, which is like a something that I've been dabbling in this past years or past few months as well. And it was so much fun. It was like 6 hours long. And
wow.
So
short.
You just run around these levels like, killing aliens, and you get really cool weapons like a flamethrower that just devours everything, and like a black hole gun, and the main weapon, the bolter or the bolt gun, is also just like it's a very satisfying machine gun to fire, and I had a lot of fun with it.
Did you do that in one sitting with it being 6 hours? Or
No.
you do that in a few?
No, it took me. I probably did it in 3 sittings. So it's actually broken up into 3 chapters, and I did 1 chapter a sitting. So it was like 2 hours each.
Oh, nice.
And every level's like short, like 10 minutes long. I played on a pretty low difficulty because I suck at video games, but I had a great time, and I don't have the patience for hard video games at this juncture in my life.
I was gonna say we've like kind of talked about this very like just like a little bit of like as you get older, like do you really care what level you're playing of a video game, or are you just like happier just playing the fucking game?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have friends that refuse to play anything below the hardest difficulty, but sometimes that's not even what like a game's really optimized for, because a lot of times when it's like the hard difficulty, the only thing different is enemies have a stupid amount of health, and
yeah
it's like, okay, I guess I can just sit here and wail away at the enemy for longer, not requiring any more skill or anything like that. So yeah,
I just don't like getting that frustrated at games. It pisses me off. Like I don't like getting so annoyed that I'm like, I'm done. I would like to walk away now. Like that's not fun for me anymore. Like I'm like, I like to enjoy it. Like, and getting a little frustrated is fine, but like when I'm like pissed, I'm like, nope, I don't like this anymore. This is no longer enjoyable. I would just rather not play or dumb down the difficulty.
I just get bored. If a game's frustratingly like I don't get mad. I just am like, I don't have patience for this.
No, I get mad.
I know. I've played video games with you before, and I've been in group chats with you before when you're like,
I wish I didn't, but I get really pissed off, and like I'm like, I don't like that person, so I'm like, nope, don't like being that angry. I'm not an angry person. I'm pretty chill. So like getting a rise out of me, I'm like, okay, we're gonna take a step back here. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to decide which one, because I have 2 new games that I've been playing.
Well, pick one to start with.
Okay, so I think what I've realized lately, especially right now in my life, is that games with friends really has been driving my love for games.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like, I like playing a game by myself, like, don't get me wrong, but right now I will pick the game where I can play with my friends over a game where I'm sitting and playing by myself. I have just really fallen in love with like sitting and hanging out and like playing, like whether it's like mundane or like really chaotic games, like just having that time. So I'll start with the new one because everybody's been talking about it, and that's Repo.
Yeah.
This stupid game has
Repo.
taken over. Yeah, Repo. Okay, do you know what Lethal Company is?
Yes.
Okay, so it's very much like Lethal Company where like you are going in, you're like extracting a bunch of things for like money and whatnot. So Repo is new. I saw it all over TikTok. They're like, think of like, do you remember the little Android guy for like Android who's like the little green, like little robot looking guy?
Yeah.
Okay. The people that you play as literally look like those. Okay. You all get in a group call. In a group call, and it has like proximity chat, so it's kind of cool. So you walk in and it'll be like, let's say it's a house, there's like 10 or 20 different like rooms depending on like what level you're on, but there's like monsters, there's things you grab for like money, you have to like reach a quota, but don't die. And if you die, like your friends can bring you back, and it's just a lot of fun. That I saw on TikTok was like, oh my God, this looks hilarious. First time I played, I was like, why did I decide I wanted to do this? I can't play scary games.
No.
Okay. I sweat. I don't like it. Not for me, but I was so freaking determined. I was like, I want to play this game. It looks like so much fun. So first time I played, our buddy Bruce, actually, I played on stream, and our buddy Bruce has a TikTok of it where literally it's also like, it's like one of those games where it's really, really dark. You have a flashlight. Okay. So it's like already like down my alley of like, I don't like it being dark and only being able to see very like small, tight corners.
Sure.
But there's like this like floating head that comes around the corner, and I kid you not, I left him in the dust. I fucking bolted back to where I thought I was safe, and I was like, I can't do this. I'm not doing it. And there's like a little like self-destruct button, which is basically like quitting, and I blew myself up, and I was like, nope. But I went back to it, and I've started to get better at the game, and I'm starting to learn like what the monsters do, and it is fun like having like just like your friends, like you hear like somebody in the next room like talking, and then all of a sudden you hear something else crazy and you're like, oh shit, they're dead and I'm alone.
Oh no.
And that's the part that I don't like. I don't like.
Are you getting are you getting desensitized to the whole like horror video game genre, do you think? Or
I don't know about that. I think I've just desensitized myself maybe to this game that I've been playing and watching enough that like I've been trying to be like, okay, let me see some of the monsters firsthand. Like none of them are super scary. They're just weird.
Yeah.
There's like a few of them that I really don't like because like some of them are jump scareable. Like there's this weird looking looks like a spider almost, but it has a human head, but it will like grab you and like it like does like a jump scare like on the screen, like a big head and like screams. And I'm like, I don't like that one. That one still makes me sweat. Don't like that. But like some of the other ones, I'm like, okay, I know what this does. I can just like sit over here quietly in the corner and everything will be okay. But I do think I've desensitized myself to this game.
Okay. We'll
see if it translates to others. I don't know about that.
Sure.
Yeah. But it has literally, it's taken over my TikTok and my Instagram and everything. It is so much fun. And we've been playing with like a group of like 4 or 5 of us, depending on the night. And it is easily, it also just is so fucking funny. Like all of a sudden you're all in a group and everything's happy-go-lucky. And then a monster comes in and everybody's screaming bloody murder. And then like they have the little bots have like eyes that kind of like move and you look over and somebody's like staring at you. And it's just like a good time. It's very funny.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's been one that has been taking up a lot of my time.
Yeah. Well, because I feel like I've talked about Slay the Spire and Star Wars a bunch, but the other game that we've touched on a bit is Avowed, which I was really enjoying until the third area, where I've never had this happen before. Oftentimes when I DNF a game, it's because of like I think the only other game that I can remember like not finishing for a reason besides like something else came out and distracted me was Baldur's Gate, because my file like corrupted and I had to restart, and I was like, I'll come back to this because I intend to this year. But Avowed, I got to the third area in Avowed, and I like went around unlocking all the quests, and I looked at the mini map, and I was like, wow, there's 15, 20 spots on the map I need to go to and do the exact same thing over and over and over again. Like, like the quest variety and it was so like small. And while I did find like exploring the world really fun, even in a game like like I had compared to like Skyrim, the quests at least had a bit of a story to follow beyond. I need someone to go deal with these monsters, or I need you to go save this person from a camp of talking mushrooms, right? Like it was always just go up, go to a spot, kill all the dudes, get the item, and go back. But if you don't do those quests, you don't have enough like leveling. You know, like you're not going to level enough to be able to continue the main quest. And while I found the first two areas had really cool kind of allegories for modern day, like, you know, issues, the third one was like kind of zombie apocalypse vibes. And I was like, well, we're a few years away from that. So I looked at the map and I uninstalled the game and I installed Bolt Gun and had a much better week because of it.
Oh my gosh. That's like my husband was like, MLB's out. And he was really hard pressed to not try Marvel Rivals when we were playing Marvel Rivals. And he was like, no, I don't want to play. He started playing. He played a bunch. MLB came out. He was like, he uninstalled it. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that was quick. Okay, you're done. And it does, yeah, but to your point, like games who it feels like they literally just copied and paste like quests, even side quests, like it's like, this is boring. Like nobody wants to do. I say that, but I'll be honest, a lot of people used to give me a hard time because when I played World of Warcraft, I didn't do dungeons. I didn't do raids. I didn't do any of that. I did the more like mundane stuff, which was probably very similar of like where I would just go to a new area. They'd ask me to go kill some things. I go kill some things. I'd bring something back, go over here,
that's
kill
like
some more things.
Criticism of WoW, isn't it? That like a lot of the quests are just like go kill this number of monsters or collect this number of plants or like, you know.
I liked it though. I liked just the like, it was just like, I think because I could disconnect from a lot of things that I was just like, okay, I could just sit and hang out and do my little doodahs and be done. I think it became a little less enjoyable. I think I liked it a lot more doing that part of where it was a bit mundane when I was younger, because that was earlier World of Warcraft where like you weren't just handed a lot of like your gear. I had something to work for. Like I needed higher gear. I wanted a mount, where like now I feel like a lot of the new expansions, they're just like, here, be at level 50. Here's a new mount. Here's all this stuff. And I'm like, this is all setting us up for like raids and that's cool and stuff. But I don't do that stuff. So for me, it like defeats the purpose of the game for me. But yeah, it's not fun when games are just like, here's the same quest 50 times over, but with a different dialogue, basically.
Sure. Yeah.
I talked to Liv too, because last time we were talking about how Liv played Avowed for a little bit. And it was like, this is not for me. And she was like, I can't believe I got talked about on the podcast and stuff. And so she's probably going to chuckle when she hears this, that you ended up quitting.
I ended up quitting. Liv was right. I was wrong.
She also, I think some of her came from, she didn't like a lot of the like mechanics. So she didn't like the way it was handled, like the way like the actual like fighting sequence and stuff of it was. So hers was slightly different, but yeah, I do think she'll probably get a little kick out of this later on. No,
I liked the fighting in it. I hope better game developers take it and do something fun with that. Like the combat felt more responsive than it looked. Like when you watch gameplay, it didn't look as responsive, but like, you know, it felt really good to fight. It had a lot of cool options. The skills trees were really interesting. I don't think you got enough like skill points to make cool builds. Like especially like I played some Diablo 4 last year. So watching like playing Diablo 4 and like being able to map out these really cool, go through the skill trees.
I love a good skill tree.
Yeah, and they had a lot of cool skills on their skill trees, but it was almost so sparing that you, by the time you have invested in like okay, I need these things or else my class just isn't going to work. You had like nothing left over to be like, I want this cool perk, or I want, I want to have access to this spell without a grimoire or whatever. Like, no, like, so I found in that way, I wished the levels were a little bit more frequent, or you got more skill points to invest as the game went on. But
it was definitely like a game, like, because I know earlier we talked about it. I was like, oh, I want to play. Like, we could play and like compare notes, and like all of the like reviews early on seemed good, and like obviously like the like previews looked really interesting. But then the more and more I watched people play it, the more and more I was like, I don't know if I actually want to do this. And then I think what also happened was like the night that I did want to like play, it was going to take like an hour and a half, and I was like, forget it. And then I just never went back and tried to download it. So it's still sitting there.
Very fair.
But on the note of my buddy Liv, her and I have been very patiently waiting for Split Fiction to come out.
Yes.
And so when we heard about it like a few months ago, we were both like, hey, we should plan to play this together. Like, let's just go ahead and say like, yeah, we'll do it. And we did, and we finished it yesterday.
Oh my gosh. What's your review? What's your thoughts?
Honestly, that possibly could have been one of the best games I played in a while.
Really?
It was so good. So good.
How does it compare to like It Takes Two, right? Because it's a similar concept.
It's the same people.
Okay.
So It Takes Two and Split Fiction and I think it's A Way Out. It's these two guys trapped in a prison are all by the same people, which I played the beginning of A Way Out. I never finished it. I did It Takes Two, which I thought it was cute. I had a lot of fun. I played with my husband. But Split Fiction was literally above the rest. Like, it was so good. The way you played was great. I loved just like I said, I'm very driven by like playing with friends, but the chapters in it were really cool. It never felt the same. This game continued to surprise both of us. Like, we'd be like, okay, so this fight probably is going to be very similar. Nope. Next chapter, we would like be thrown into something completely different and be surprised all over again. Like, even to the end, we were getting like, we were probably like 10 minutes out of the final, and we both were shitting ourselves. We're like, this is so fucking cool. Oh my God. Like, just the way, I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm trying to be kind of vague about like what we experienced, because I keep telling everybody, I'm like, if you have somebody that you can play with or want to play with, I would highly suggest. The storyline is really good. It's a little heavy. We both cried a few times through that game.
Wow.
But it's also really, really good story. And it's also nice just for anybody who's listening, or if Jess ever had like any interest of playing with you.
Sure.
You only need one copy, and then you have like a buddy pass basically.
Oh,
so you only have to pay for it once. So Liv was very kind and ended up buying it first, and then so like I never had to buy it. So that was kind of also nice to not have to like double down on $60 for 2 people.
Yeah.
But no, like, it was super fun. There's so many different levels where like one of them was, there's also a lot of Easter eggs without spoiling any of them. Like, one of them was very like Halo-esque. So we had like these guns, like one of them we were cyber ninjas, we had swords. But then on the other hand, there was like a whole area that we spent where we were witches, and we were rescuing cats, and we could turn into like mushrooms, and it was
fun.
like really like cutesy. So
Yeah.
there's just a lot of levels and just things to do in this. By the end, I really was like, wow, that was so much. Like, and we finished this in a few sittings, because every single time we'd end up playing for like 2 to 3 hours. Like, could not put it down.
Wow.
Yeah. Highly suggest.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never played any game like that, and I think mainly because like Jess and I, like, when we game, we typically play board games together just because that's just what we do as a couple.
Yeah.
We have played some video games together, but I don't think we have since like university. So it's been a long time.
Think about trying this one. It's a little tricky. I do think like I think Split Fiction was harder than It Takes Two. It Takes Two felt a bit more catered to a younger crowd almost. I mean, that also was a very heavy game with a lot of like adult storylining because it's all about these parents not getting along and needing to figure it out for the sake of their kids. And this one has a lot of like underlying themes of like grief and how we handle grief and what we do with it. But the actual video game itself, there were times where I was like, shit, I am dying and I'm dying and I'm dying. And it's nice because if you die, you don't get like, it doesn't mess up both of your gameplay. You literally just have to like press a button really quick and it like revives you. Unless you both die, then you get sent back a little bit.
Sure.
Which is also nice. So if you have somebody who's not really like a gamer and you can kind of carry them, like you'll be okay. But I wouldn't suggest this as like a mom and like 6-year-old son game, but better as like two adults playing.
So all the moms that listen to our podcast, don't play this game.
Not. Yeah.
Absolutely. Shout out to moms. We love moms.
Amen. I get to see my mom next weekend. I'm so excited.
I saw my mom yesterday.
Oh,
and I'm so one of the things I've been doing the past few months is like I've been getting back into my fitness, right? Because in high school I was like an elite track and field athlete, and I'm getting close to 30, so I decided, well, it's time to take my health more seriously, and I started running again. And then my running coach found out I was running again, and I somehow ended up back on his team. But now instead of like, because he doesn't really coach many like school age people anymore, it's mainly like adults. And up until I joined the team, it was entirely like women, and they were all like in their like 40s and 50s, so they're all like moms. So it's like just me and a bunch of moms. It's been a lot of fun.
I was gonna say that probably is so much fun though, because the vibes are probably kind of immaculate. It's probably just a very like nice like breath of fresh air.
It's a very nice group of people, and like they all are so supportive. I've never been in a more supportive like just team, you know?
Oh yeah. They're probably like, our son.
Yeah, basically. And like there's a few that are closer to my age, but they are also mothers, right? Like there's one girl on my team who started running again like 6 weeks postpartum or something like that. Wow. Like, yeah, just it's crazy. But the group chats is really what gets me, because they're all just blowing up my phone. I get like 100 texts a day from this group text.
You're in the mom group chat?
I'm in the mom group chat.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So we love moms here. But
that's so great. Oh my God. Any other games that you have on your list? I had those too.
As far as like video games, I've just started a game called Dread Delusion.
Okay.
And I'm not far enough to say much beyond it very much feels like if Morrowind was made for the Nintendo 64.
Okay.
Like a very simplistic RPG with like, polygon graphics in kind of a weird, spooky world. But I'm maybe an hour in. I just started it this morning.
How do you find the games that you play? Like, are you like, because sometimes I'll find games that I'm interested in, like on TikTok or something.
Sure.
Like, where are you finding some of the games that you're like, oh, I want to play this?
There's a couple YouTubers who I really like.
Okay.
In particular, there's a guy named Mortismal Gaming who does a lot of like computer RPGs and like, yeah. So he'll like, his whole shtick is he 100% every game that he reviews. And I trust his opinion on a lot of stuff. Like, I feel like the games that I've watched reviews of that he's also played, we like kind of agree on. So when he recommends a game, I kind of note it down.
Okay.
So that's a lot of it. And then obviously I just watched the Nintendo Direct and I'm like, this is going to take up my life. But right now Nintendo's not really putting out anything. So once the Switch 2 comes out in a few months, I'm sure we will...
I was gonna say we'll have some things to talk about, I'm sure.
Yeah. But yeah, that's been the main way that I find my video games, at least, is just through like YouTube and particularly that channel, Mortismal. But he does a lot of the games that are on my like to play this year list, including Bolt Gun and Dread Delusion and Avowed all came from videos that he's made about these games.
How did he feel about Avowed?
He thought it was okay. I think he played it the whole way through.
Oh wow, yeah.
I think he thought it lacked a little mechanical depth, which I would kind of agree. But the moment-to-moment gameplay was cool. As a fan of the world of Aora, like there's a lot of cool lore things going on with it. So I think like story-wise, like one of the things I really did like about Avowed is the world and like because it's kind of like Mass Effect in that you're playing a very particular character, right? Like you're the ambassador for a kingdom that has come in and sort of taken over an island archipelago. And the people who were there before the kingdom came in don't really like you or like, and you kind of see the effects that your kingdom has had on taking over this country and all the negative things that happened. But as a Canadian, I also just am struggling with that narrative right now. So I had to put it down. I had to walk away for a number of reasons. I was like, I can't talk about any kind of post-colonial stuff that I used to be able to talk about very distanced and academically, whereas now I'm just like, well, might happen to me. So
yeah, it's a little too real right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, that's so he also is a big fan of like Pillars of Eternity, which was a game that I really liked, and he's one of like I think like 20 people who've ever beaten it on like the hardest, like without like the hardest challenge mode possible, like, and yeah, so he's been my source of truth for video game reviews.
Do you want to take a moment and tell us about some of your board games you've been playing on a lighter topic? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Then we'll go into TV shows, but I felt like we could give you a moment about your board games.
A little board game moment.
I was really excited. So last week we had our friend Kelly come on, and one of the pieces of feedback was somebody was like, I was really excited to hear Alex talk about board games, and I was like, oh cool. Like I was excited to hear that like there was somebody out there who's also very excited about board games like you, and I thought that was really neat.
I love board games. I think the so I have, if you can't, for those who watch the VODs, I have a big bookcase of board games behind me, and that is like a fraction of my collection because I have like 2 Billy bookcases downstairs, like from IKEA, just full of board games, and I have a purpose-built board game table. But over the years, I think I own about 170 board games right now.
Oh my god!
And at the start of the year, there was about 40 that I had not played. So I said, I'm not going to buy anything else. I'm not going to back another Kickstarter until I play through the majority of my backlog. There's a few that I probably won't get to because they're just too aspirational that I know I'm not going to have time to get to this year. Or they're like campaign games. Like I just finished a campaign of Gloomhaven. I'm probably not going to start Frosthaven for a little bit. But I think of my backlog, the 2 games that really have stood out to me as like above the rest. One is a game called Andromeda's Edge, which
you talked about this
a little bit. So it's a sort of space worker placement game where you have ships that you send out to planets, and then you collect resources, and then after you send out all your dudes, you do a turn where you like pick them back up, and you can place them on your like different parts of your space station to get more cool stuff back. So it's a fun mechanic of sending your dudes out to get stuff back, and then the pickup turn, which in a worker placement game is often like pretty boring. They found a way to also make that interesting. And like I backed it on GameFound, so I have all of the deluxe components and all of these like beautiful gold miniatures for all of the like alien ships and enemy ships that like roam around the board and like fight people. And it's just such a great experience that like I haven't stopped thinking about it for the past 2 weeks. I've
We
thought
love
about
that.
it every day because I played it the night before we recorded the podcast with Kelly.
Okay.
And I'm already like my friend and I, like my wife is going to Portugal in May, and we've already decided that he's going to come over while she's away so we can play Andromeda's Edge more. So that one's really stuck out to me as like, especially because it's based off of a game that was one of my favorite games, Dwellings of Eldervale, and Dwellings of Eldervale is kind of like a fantasy of a similar system. But I think Andromeda's Edge does it a million times better, to a point where I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to keep Dwellings of Eldervale, and if I do, it's just because I like fantasy vibes more than I like sci-fi typically. So
a very similar question. How do you find your board games?
So again, a very similar answer is there's a lot of like the board game YouTube space is very, very populated, very, very saturated market for a very niche community of people, right? Like there's not that many people that want to play designer board games. Most people, if they play board games, they're like, I've played Wingspan, Settlers of Catan, maybe Scythe, but they don't go like Camel Up, or they don't go beyond sort of like those gateway drug games. But people like channels like the Dice Tower, channels like Board Game Co., Foster the Meeple.
Sorry if you heard that.
I did not.
Continue,
I'm talking about my passion here. I'm zeroed in.
Okay, continue. I just burped. It just kind of rolled out.
You're welcome, listeners. Enjoy that burp. Yeah, for like Foster the Meeple, Board Game Co., Dice Tower, they review a lot of games. And honestly, I'm at a point now where I've bought so many that something really has to capture like the zeitgeist of board gamers before I even like look at it.
Right.
Like, if there's not a video by like a channel called Shut Up and Sit Down, or there's another channel called No Pun Included, who make these really long, well-produced video essays about a board game. I typically not thinking about it much, just because I have like just too many. I have too many to play.
Yeah.
And I think I'm at because there's kind of like, you start playing board games and you get the like 2 or 3 sort of evergreen titles that everyone has. And then if you really catch the bug, you buy too many, you back a bunch of Kickstarters, and then you're like, oh, I don't have space in my life for all of these things. I have too many things. And then you kind of slow down and then eventually get rid of them. And I'm getting to a point where I'm now like, I don't have space for more games. So I have to be very picky about what I choose.
So how many have you gotten done in your list?
I've played 15 of my 40.
Okay, so you're still pacing pretty good.
Yeah, about a third of the way done. And some of them I'm not gonna play. Like I have the list open here. As much as I would love to play, like I have a game called War of the Rings, which is basically like you're playing through, one person is the forces of Sauron and the other person is the forces of good, the Fellowship, and you're playing through Lord of the Rings, and it's like the most overwrought game of Risk you'll ever play. I know I'm not going to be able to find someone to play that with me this year.
Right. Yeah.
As much as my wife loves playing that. There's another one called Nemesis, which is essentially an unlicensed game, like alien game, like the Alien movies, the Xenomorphs. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to Nemesis this year because it's just such a long game. So, but if I get up to 30, I'll be pretty happy with the year.
Yeah.
So that's my little review of board games.
I mean, guys, if you guys are interested in board games, we are going to do a board game episode.
Absolutely.
It is going to be a lot of Alex talking, a lot of me listening, but that is okay.
I think we should make it so I try to teach you why I love board games, and like, talk a little bit about how I indoctrinate, because like all of my friends in my town now, at some point have been invited over to a board game night, and God damn it, they had a good time. So, because that's Jess and I spent so much time being like, all right, who can we invite over to play our games? And we have there's a few couples that we like very, very frequently get together with. So we'll chat.
That's good. Yeah. Okay, move on to shows.
Sure.
I think the top one that like we're both gonna agree on, is that we're coming to the end of Severance.
I know.
We got one episode left. I'm sure we will have if we don't, the problem is I sit here and I go, we should make just the whole episode, but I don't want to put people in a predicament of like haven't heard it but want to keep up. So we'll probably have another 0.5er.
Yeah. Do we want to record one next weekend after we've both watched the finale?
Possibly. We'll talk about that soon. Yeah. But we're coming into the end of Severance, so I'm sure we're both caught up with that.
Yes.
It is coming to an end. I'm very nervous about cliffhangers, about what could be the end of this, because
there's been some foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Episode 9 had some foreshadowing for sure.
I will tell y'all, I have been down the deep, dark TikTok theories hole lately, though.
Sure.
And it's so good. The things that people pick up on and the things that people come up with, I'm like, yes, I see it.
I very much read the Reddits is where I get my theories for that game, that show. And it's been nice the past like 2 or 3 episodes Jess and I have watched together, which has been nice because we haven't done that with a show in a while. If we're not, we will watch it. We'll turn on a show when we build Lego, and sometimes we'll be like, okay, we only watch this while we build Lego. But like to actually sit down and be like, we are watching this show together. I think the last time was like The Last of Us season 1, and Last of Us season 2 just got announced. It's coming.
Yeah. Yep, it's right after my birthday. I'm so excited.
Oh, that's so good.
So excited. So yeah, I don't want to spoil anything, but obviously both watching Severance. Okay. Let me tell you something. You know how previously I was like, Love is Blind, it's great. And I was like, everybody should watch the new season. And I think I was just excited about there being a new season. But we went from season 7 right into season 8, okay? The way that me and my husband watched it. Because we watched season 7 kind of later. And then we were kind of bummed. We are like, man, love this show. Season 8 came out. We were super excited. And at first I was like, is it just because we went from one season to the next that this season felt really bad? But when I tell y'all, this season was so bad.
Really?
I take back everything I said about, you should watch this. Don't watch this season.
We watched one episode because of you.
7. No, don't. It's not worth the rest of your time. I'm going to stop you now. It's so bad. Go watch season 7 or season 6 or any of the previous seasons, honestly. Season 8 was so bad. And honestly, if you look it up, I'm not the only person. Me and Dangle like started like being like, it's just us, because we did like kind of go like one season to another.
Yeah.
No, they like they changed the way that they filmed it a little bit, like, because it's basically like the pods.
Yeah.
And then it goes like meeting, and then it's like kind of, so they go on like their honeymoon, quote unquote, and then it's like them living in a apartment together.
Yes.
Then they do the reunion and everything. And so they've kind of structured it a little bit different. I don't remember exactly what they did. I think this time they did less in the pods or something. I felt so disconnected to all of them. They were the most boring motherfuckers on the history of all these seasons.
Well, that is one of the problems I think with that show generally is like, what do they have to talk about? You know?
Every other season, it's been very interesting. I've been very into it. This season, I don't know who the fuck they got. These people were just boring. Like the whole season was boring, to be honest. Like I saw so many TikToks of people like, how I'm watching this season of Love is Blind. And it was them like skipping through so much. And that is probably how Daniel and I watched half of this season.
Oh my
gosh. It was just like fast forwarding to parts that we just wanted to know about just to get to the end. Yeah. I resend everything I said about this season.
Well,
it was bad.
It looks like Love is Blind is not going to be our new Lego show. It's going to be, we'll have to watch Wheel of Time. All right, have you watched Wheel of Time at all?
No, what's that?
It's on Amazon Prime. It's like a fantasy like show. It's based off of a very long running fantasy book series called The Wheel of Time.
Okay.
It's like a 15 book epic fantasy. that was started by Robert Jordan and finished by Brandon Sanderson. The season 3 is just coming out. I enjoy it as someone who's only read the first 6 books, and I know they're completely different than the other, than the books. The shows, for what it is, I'm enjoying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll have to. You might have to send that one to me because I'll forget. But
Sure.
I'm always open for new show suggestions. We've recently restarted New Girl. That's normally our background noise. We have like a few of them. It'll go like The Office, New Girl, Friends. We kind of like circulate that, or like HGTV kind of thing.
Yeah.
We've just recently restarted New Girl.
Sure.
As our like kind of dinner time show.
I've watched. I've been watching. Have you watched Abbott Elementary?
No, I've heard good things about it.
It's really good. It's a really good show. I got all caught up to that last night. And this one is kind of embarrassing. I watched Big Bang Theory from start to finish.
I mean, a lot of people love that show.
I know, but it gets a lot of criticism for like some pretty great reasons. Because it's in it's in the same generation as some of the greatest sitcoms of all time, right? Like it was coming out around the same time of How I Met Your Mother and Friends and New Girl, and like a lot of these really great sitcoms. And I will actually say, I think in a way it has aged better than a lot of those shows. I still think Friends and How I Met Your Mother are better shows, but there are some jokes in Friends that I hear and I'm like, oh, we can't say that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that is very true, yes.
Where Big Bang Theory played it so safe that like their spiciest joke is like Friends' most tame joke at this point.
Yeah. But I also kind of think it fits the mold. They're a bunch of supposed to be like more like nerdy scientists. So it's like, how spicy are you going to get?
I don't know. If you go on the internet, there's a lot of nerds there saying things. I'm a nerd. I think I say some funny things from time to time. You can be funny and nerdy, but
no, hey, that's not what I said. You can't be funny and nerdy. I was talking about the more odd comments. We have, oh my gosh, you want a suggestion for a show?
Sure.
Paradise on Hulu.
Okay.
Oh my God.
What's the premise?
Bit of a here's the problem is we took this suggestion purely based on other people talking about it. Okay. I've never seen the preview for this show, so I don't know what they tell you in the preview versus what they don't. So I'm a little scared to tell too much about it. I think it's pretty obvious. It's like some kind of apocalypse of sorts have happened, like a bomb happened, something crashed. I don't know exactly, and I don't know how quickly you find out in the show or if any. I don't know. But they're all hidden basically now, and so they have this like community of people, and it's just he is on security detail for the president after this happens, and it's all about like him kind of
does he get framed for killing the president? Is that this one?
No, not really. No. Again, I don't want to give anything away because I'm really nervous about what guys, I hate previews for shows and movies now. I won't watch a preview for a movie, or I'll watch the first like 15, 20 seconds and that's it. We have like these previews that are a minute and a half and it tells you the entire story. And I'm like, I don't need to watch the movie. Yeah. I now know what's going to happen. I hate previews for movies. So I'm just saying, I think you should just trust me on this one and go watch it.
I'll watch it.
It's really, really good. There's 8 or 9 episodes. We started this on like Monday or Tuesday and we're probably going to finish it tonight.
Oh, wow.
But it's really good. It is, did you ever watch This Is Us?
No.
Okay. One of the stars in This Is Us, he was the adopted son in This Is Us. He stars in it.
Okay.
Which I can't, hold on. What is his name? It is Sterling K. Brown,
Okay.
who's incredible. He stars in this, and it was really, really good. We haven't finished it yet, but so far I've been in. It takes you through a very, very good journey. And the reason that I don't want to spoil it or say too much about exactly what I knew is because we really did go in blind, and we were in the first episode. And I think a major plot point that I think anybody who watched the preview already knew, my husband and I did not. And we went, oh, wait, that's kind of crazy. But I think everybody else knew it. We just didn't know because we were completely closed off. We only took reviews from the podcast that I listened to and a few other friends being like, y'all need to watch this.
Okay. I'll watch it.
It's on Hulu. It's so good. You'll have to let me know how you feel.
Sounds good.
But I think that's been the only, like I said, we've been hard binge watching Paradise, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Do you have any other ones? No?
No, that's been all of my TV.
I was going to say, I feel like that's been a lot of everything that's been going on right now is TV. I think the games I've been talking about, the Split Fiction and Repo, have been what I've been really into in the past, weeks.
Sure.
I think for me, that wraps up the first quarter. You?
Yeah, I think that's Q1 2025. So go us.
I did pull out our trivia questions.
Sure.
Because we haven't played in a while.
We have not.
And so I thought now would be a good time to run it back with a trivia card. For anybody wondering, I have it's a video game trivia that I got off of Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And in the beginning, Alex and I used to do this, and then we stopped, kind of forgot about it. So I'm going to pull a card. There we go. I always flip it, and then I have to kind of do a funky thing so I don't see the answer. This is interesting. In Telltale Games' first season of The Walking Dead, Lee Everett was a profession of which subject before the zombie outbreak? I didn't watch The Walking Dead.
I've not watched The Walking Dead.
I've heard it's really good, though.
Yeah. But I don't know. I'm going to say scientist.
I was going to say he taught English. Oh, history.
History. Oh, wow.
Okay,
You're
there's
close
one more
with the liberal arts.
Ooh, my husband would probably know this one. What name is given to the zombie-like enemies in Days Gone? No, another one we don't know. Damn it. Freakers. That's
Wow.
what do they call them in? They have zombies, but then in The Last of Us, they have the bigger ones. They call them bloaters and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, can't know all of them. You learn something though. Freakers. But yeah, I think that's everything. Thanks for hanging out with our kind of elongated catch up. Alex earlier when we were talking about what we were going to talk about said, "Oh yeah, this would be a good quarter life crisis episode." Yeah. That made me chuckle. But I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of just a moment with us, just a silly little conversation. Hope you guys are doing well, and we will see you guys next time.